Hello, this is Jason Lazzotti. It's Wednesday, February 9th, 8:29 p.m. I've just listened to my first recording. Fairly happy with it. Um, if you had heard other recordings of mine, you'd know why. That being said, I would like to do a second installment at this time. And it's going to be same topic, but taken a different way. I could describe this as something that's useful about this cause and effect extension or new understanding of just how far reaching cause and effect is in our environment to our human experience. In other words, that it's not limited. Perceiving energy. So, this second installment is going to be about perceiving energy. One of the things that, in my experience through my life, that I have struggled with is, being quote unquote overweight. Fairly common situation. And a great amount has been said, and a great amount of work has been done about that. We all can agree. And the reason why I state that is because we generally perceive that as a collective. And I say a collective, I mean the human experience. That if you are a person who struggles with being whatever your definition of overweight is, that if you want to change that fact, it is not easy. It is what we call a problem. It causes us an emotional response that varies to many different degrees, but comes into the variety of a struggle. When I was noticing this extension or this, when I looked at my surroundings and didn't forget that the brick building, the person walking towards me, myself, the air between us, was at some level energy at its, as its building block, if you will. Through my day-to-day, as I thought about issues that were pertinent to me, I didn't forget this fact. This became part of the parameter of what I wondered was causing the problem, or creating the environment that made something quote unquote hard. And when I looked at that, many things that I felt within my body, we associate with terms that we use for energy. We're tired. Something's loud. Our senses. It's all energy, and our action and reaction to that. And by extension of this idea, I thought about the fact that eating food and my perception of eating food has an effect of eat food, there is a calming effect, that if you go without food, there are many different feelings that can come up, especially if food represents more than just nourishment for you. That if there's an emotional attachment or a proponent to it, in other words, it satisfies you in an emotional way. Now, I would hope most people get an emotional response from eating, and there's obviously a level of an appropriate, natural, healthy amount. But I think it's generally understood that for somebody who struggles with eating more is the emotional component, that it satisfies an emotional issue. If we look at this in an energetic sense, if we take all of these terms and look at it at levels of energy and how we respond to different levels of energy, such as anxiety, nervousness, calmness, tired. These are all levels of energy. And I thought about the idea that if you're faced with the situation where you're wanting to withhold food, if you're wanting to limit your intake, but you don't want to, your natural desire that you're feeling, the emotional response in our brain says that if I eat food, I will feel better. What are we saying on an energy level? If we describe all of that in an energetic way, my body's energy doesn't feel good. If I do this action by eating, the energy in my body will feel different, that is more comfortable. Now, I've wanted to in the past be very careful of talking about high energy, low energy when it comes to good and bad, but there's really no way around it. And take it as you will. It's unavoidable to not say that we relate high energy as being better than low energy. And that can be taken in many different ways in many different situations. I might argue maybe in all situations. I think that it's fairly our perception that high vibration is one of the ways that we explain a good feeling, or being in a special place, or a high standard, or up is good, down is bad. That's not the purpose of what I'm saying right now. But I do want to mention that I am sensitive to that. And I am not trying to say one or the other in this video, in this audio. To withhold food in this example presents an energetic, we start to perceive energy in our body, and we have descriptions of it, And in that environment, in our general day-to-day understanding, we use those descriptions for how we decide to discuss doing something about this. And I think to add to the conversation, to limit the terminology to just energy is very powerful. It's very, it cuts through a lot of, it creates clarity. And it's more powerful in that sense that we can get to the root of the matter. It doesn't seem far-fetched to say, if you can resist the energies that you feel when trying not to do something, then you can succeed. Now, when we start adding more definitions, when we lower our clarity, we lower our understanding by not cutting to the fundamentally what's going on there. If we're trying to resist something that is a habit that we deem not good for us, such as smoking, such as eating, overeating, any behavior we see, and not getting into a moral discussion here, but just on a personal level, whoever's listening to this, whatever you think is being bad or good. Generally, I will postulate, or I will say at this point that anything you're trying to do that does not come easy will cause some kind of higher vibration negative, and it will be hard to hold that energetic space until it becomes more routine. That's the other part of it, is that there's an awareness that I came across that we are at a level. Energetically, everything that we perceive in our bodies, in our thoughts, about who we are in some way have assigned an energetic level to. And to go out of that energetic level, one way or the other, generally going up is going towards good, and lowering is going towards bad. Generally. There's obviously things that people can think of where the reverse is true. Such as, you're tired, go to sleep, that's good. But overall, that's the experience. If we could back away from whatever our personal understanding is of good and bad, and look at it this way, it's just being energy. And we'll get to that other discussion. That discussion is very important, I think. But in this discussion, if we look at resisting temptation fundamentally as trying to exist in the new environment with those feelings until they become routine. So it would make sense that when we try to do something that's too far out of the parameters, we generally have bad results. We try to not eat at all. Well, That causes energetic problems. If we try to lift, if we are trying to exercise and we do too much, we cause a failure. So there's a certain amount within a certain time period that we can do. And it all has to do with the energy. It all has to do with the energy that we can exist in, or how much we can change in any given amount of time until there's either failure or we slip back, if you will. If we reduce, if we are a practiced person at some good behavior and we stop practicing, we generally don't get, especially if we completely stop, get better at that activity. And so on and so on. I think this is a very powerful way of looking at the human condition, our reality, life. And I think that it's firmly based in what we understand on a physics level, cause and effect. So I don't have a lot more new things to say at this point, and so I'll stop there. Thank you for listening.